Hello and welcome to a special edition of the In the Money Players podcast, produced in conjunction with our friends at the JRA, Japan Racing Association. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatale, back with you in the Brooklyn Bunker once again. And we have put together an international cast of characters to talk about mainly one, but really two big nights of racing left in Japan. And in both instances, the big races are at a little bit more of an approachable time. We'll get to that as we go on. We'll do a round of introductions very quickly, and then we'll dive into these races. We'll start with the man on the top of the screen up here next to me, who comes to us from time to talk Woodbine and to talk JRA. He is Klaus Ebner. Klaus, what's going on?
Morning, Pete.
Klaus does a great job providing content for the JRA races over at inthemoneypodcast.com. We'll be doing that again. You can get selections, you can get PPs, and the rest of the folks on this panel all participate in that. We will bring in right now from the TDN a man who participates in that and also has an impressive knowledge of pedigrees, etc. Alan Carasso. Alan, what's going on?
Good morning, Pete. How are you guys?
And beneath Alan on the little Brady Bunch style panel that we have, a woman who we were pleased to have on one of our JRA shows recently. She's a super fan. I think she won't disagree with that distinction. She is super. She is a fan. She's also a fantastic analyst when it comes to the JRA. She's Alex Henry.
Hello. Good morning.
And then from Japan, which is great to have that local institutional knowledge. Man, I've had the pleasure of talking racing with on a number of occasions. I don't think he's really in that library it looks like he's in, but I like to pretend that he is. He's Toshi Onikubo. Toshi, what's going on?
At least I try, Pete. Yeah, very good, thanks.
It would be cool. It would be great if you were spending your Friday night in the library. That would show just what a student of form you are. So let's dive in, and we're going to start off with this race. It's such a unique. I'm envisioning a scenario where a lot of our listeners, maybe who don't even always look at the JRA stuff or always stay up late, are going to stay up late for this race. For one thing, it's an amazing field. We're going to get into the particulars of that as we chat along here. But the Arima Kinen is taking place at 1:25 a.m. on Christmas Day. So I'm seeing this scenario where, you're up late. Maybe the kids are in bed. Maybe, you can have a cup of coffee or something stronger than coffee with Santa Claus as he comes down the chimney right at that 1:25. Stay up late and watch this race. That's my advice to you. And you can do the same thing again a few days later with the Futurity. But of course, if we're going to follow that scenario, we're certainly going to be having a bet to kick off. You could be walking around Christmas morning, early wee hours, late Christmas Eve, early Christmas morning, lucky and not even know it if you don't take a shot with a wager. And Toshi, we're going to start with you for your thought on who's going to win this race and a little bit of an overview of what you're really looking forward to seeing.
So, Pete, at first, I'd like to introduce Arima Kinen to your audience. So, Arima Kinen is, arguably one of the most popular race in Japan. And it is, in terms of racing, this is the biggest racing in Japan. And, end of year and this year, we got, as you said, Arima Kinen will be on Christmas Day in Japan. And the interesting fact would be 16 runners decided by vote, by fans, general public, vote. And this year we got more than 4 million votes, and title holder got first place for that vote. And it's very unique race in Japan. And, we got a very good field this year as well. Unfortunately, only 47,000, a little bit more, people would be attended this Sunday at Nakayama Racecourse due to the current COVID restriction by JRA. But, the quality of competition is not, decreased at all. We got, so many grade one winners, the Osaka High winner, Potage, Takarazuka Kinen winner, title holder. It's, unfortunately got, bad luck, raining and, wet ground in the arc. And also, very high rated 3 years old Tennosho winner Equinox, He was second in Guineas and Derby both, Satsuki and Tokyo Yushin. It is so interesting to see which horse is going to win. But one horse I'd like to mention would be the filly, Geraldina, by Morris, champion Myra / Grade 1 winner over, mile and a quarter, 2,000 meter. And he was, genuine champion horse. And her dam, Gentildonna, is also the champion mare. And she's, previous winner of the Arima Kinen. So I would like to see, Geraldina to replicate her dam, Gentildonna's success this year.
I like that idea. Certainly a great storyline and a great and unique setup, as you point out, Toshi. Alex, let's bring you back in for your thoughts here on the Arima Kinen. Is this a race you look forward to every year?
Absolutely. I want to give a great shout out to Klaus this morning. He actually sent over a video from the new Winning Post 10 game coming out in March of next year. So I'll give a little background about that. So the video game Winning Post, the series I spoke about in our last video, my favorite video game of all time. For some major races, they actually do a simulation race. So taking all the stats of the real life horses and putting the actual field together for these grade 1 races, and they send them off using the game engine and actually run the race. So I was able to view that this morning, and title holder came out as the narrow winner over Equinox. One aspect I want to bring up that was interesting that the game simulated was they're forecasting a slow pace with title holder on the lead. In the simulation, he got the lead by about 4 lengths or so until the head of the stretch. So that could be an interesting way this race plays out.
It's an amazing simulation. If folks haven't seen it, is that widely available on YouTube, Klaus? That was just a YouTube link, so folks can check that out. Maybe we'll pop that in the show notes or certainly up on the blog on Saturday. I think people will be pretty impressed. Be pretty cool if there was some way to do a sim like that with North American racing. What about your own handicapping opinion, Alex? Do you think it is going to play out that way at the top of the market? Or are you going to be looking to reach for something a little bit further down?
It could. I do like Geraldina, as Toshi mentioned. I think that's a very strong choice. I want to kind of talk about Equinox. So that rising 3-year-old that was mentioned a little bit earlier. So the Tenno Show winner, as Toshi mentioned, he's an angle that we like to use in the U.S. racing, a rising 3 to 4-year-old. So coming to the end of the season, even though he wasn't able to get it done in the classics. So the Japanese Guineas, 2,000 Guineas equivalent, the Satsuki Show, and then the Japanese Derby over 2,400 meters. He is a rapidly improving type and could figure to improve on his speed figures by at least a couple of points. Right now, using Humanity's speed figures, he's sitting for his Tenno Show win, sitting at a 102.7. For reference, I believe the Great Deep Impact, I believe he was in the 110s, if I'm not mistaken, maybe high 109 for his best win. So he's figuring to improve. So I'd like to take a look at him. And also I'll throw out Justin Palace at possibly a price. I believe as of this morning, he's sitting at about 16, like the 16s on the decimal odds. He was the Kobe Shinbun High winner. It's a grade 2 over 2,200 meters earlier this year. Couldn't get it done in the 3,000 meter Kukuka Show last out, but perhaps the 3,000 meters was too long for him. And now he gets 2,500, cutting it back a little bit, could figure to be a major player at the end.
I'm glad you mentioned that humanity.jp site. First thing you got to do when you go over there, if you're an English only speaker, is click on the English tab to get that toggled over. But a lot of great info on there, and definitely a good resource early on. As we get to the day, we'll have inline PPs that folks are used to looking at over at the InTheMoneyPodcast.com site. But some good ideas there from Alex for sure. Alan, we'll bring you in. You were on that same email that sent around the Winning Post 10 simulation, which didn't please you very much, as I gathered from your hilarious email response.
Chalk eating. I mean, according to that, too, the ground is forecast to be a little choppy, which apparently I don't think it will be. It should be a sound and fast rock surface, as they like to say. But I guess I'm approaching this from a market standpoint. Title holder and Equinox are at the top of the market and clearly capable of winning. I'm going to have a go at Euphoria just because he's gone off form just a little bit. Doesn't appear on paper to be the same that he was last year. But on his best, if he's able to come back to his best, and his connections say that he's been training well, I think he can be a factor in this. He's the defending champion. So he likes the track and the trip. I think Deep Bond has the ability to go forward and keep title holder a little bit honest. So I want to give Euphoria a crack. He's somewhere 4th or 5th choice, 8 or 9 to 1. And I would shop around and play a little bit with prices.
Yeah, I mean, there's a logic to me, and this isn't based on data, and the data is out there, but I didn't prep anybody for it. But there's a logic to me in a race like this that is a popularity contest, like quite literally, that maybe the favorites do take too much money and you have a chance to find something a little bit further down. Klaus, is there, from your experience in this race, do you see that? Do you see this race bet any differently with the tremendous amount of attention on it? Or is that so much the norm in the JRA that it doesn't really necessarily play out that way? And then, of course, our pool is separated anyway, so even if that phenomenon happens over there, it wouldn't necessarily be reflected here. But is there anything different about the market in this race?
No, I think Alan's right. The top of the market, it kind of shows in the favoritism and the voting as well as wagering. So, for the most part, the favorites are there on merit as well as the fans kind of saying they should be there. So, yeah, I agree. The top two in the market right now are the ones that on form right now are probably the two best in the race. If you look at some of the likes of title holder, he's one of the controlling speeds. He's run with Euphoria last year, and this year he ran two very good races in both Grade 1 events. So, I think, in my opinion, title holder, if he can bounce back from that ARC effort, I think he's really, for me, the one to beat. I agree with Alan. I'm part of the Euphoria fan club as well. It's funny because kind of seeing the talk in Japan, and I'm sure Toshi saw this as well, is that Euphoria was being called Cow Euphoria just because of how big he's been leading up to this race. He's been behind the 8 ball after his two kind of lackluster starts, hitting the gate, as well as title holder and Pantalasa running part of the expression, but balls to the wall, and that's Takarazuka Kinen. So. For me, I can't drift off of Euphoria. I think he's really for me. I'll be betting with my heart as well as my head as well. We'll see if he can come back to Euphoria, because if this is Euphoria from last year, I think he can beat this field pretty good. But there's a lot of question marks there, and I think because of those question marks, you're going to get a bit of a price on Euphoria this year, just because of his two efforts. A bit of an injury coming back, and then just the trainer and everyone just struggling to get him back to peak fitness. His last workout was very good. But again, he's behind the 8 ball, so you may not see the 2021 version of Euphoria, but you are going to see hopefully somewhere close to that. At least I hope, and to Alan's point, the odds will at least pay out very well for you. We're speaking, I know Alex had horses that are on the rise. There's another 3-year-old that I was kind of looking at a little bit in the form of Bulldog Haas. So Bulldog Haas, also a 3-year-old as well, improving 3-year-old. Has that screen hero pedigree that seems to do very well at long distance races in Japan. So for me, as a price, he's one I'm looking at as well. And another horse, who may drift up there in odds just because of all the good horses in this race is Vela Azul, who happened to win the Japan Cup and is also on a winning streak right now. So again, I'm sure in this race with all the options you're going to have some good, really good horses drift up at some good odds. Much like a Breeders' Cup race, where you'd have multiple talented horses, and you can actually get one at a really good price.
That's a great point. When you have a horse that has the credentials to maybe in a certain year's running of the race or in a certain race at a similar level to be the favorite, and you're seeing the likes of 8 to 1, a little bit longer than that on a Vela Azul or an Euphoria, it might make you want to get involved. And it's the kind of thing where you should probably also just be looking to do a little bit of price shopping and see what you can come up with in terms of these wagers you can make very, very early on Christmas morning, late on Christmas Eve, depending on how you look at it. Before we get out of here, I want to go around the horn one more time with a quicker thought on the Futurity, which will be happening on what did we say? I have it in my notes right here. On the 28th in Japan, that'll be the 27th for us. Once again, that very early in the morning, 1:25 a.m. again. Klaus, let's keep it with you for a little bit of an overview and perhaps an early thought as to a selection in the Futurity.
Yeah, so the cards haven't been drawn, so we're kind of rolling the dice a little bit here in terms of who's going to be in the race. But for me, the horse I kind of looking at, provided he draws in, would be a horse called Gastreek. So Gastreek by Justin Way out of a Curlin mare, 2 for 2. Came from off the pace. Was a winner last time out of the Tokyo Sports in Shanghai. Won by a neck over Dan on the Tiger. So, I think for me, he's probably the one I'll be looking at. I guess the only concern I can see is that he hasn't raced at Nakayama. He's only been racing at Tokyo, but it's not a bad thing. But for me, he's the one for me that's I'll be probably looking at over the rest of the field.
And we won't hold anybody's feet to the fire for a selection, obviously, with the field not drawn. You can go back and look at the website and get final answers on the day/night. But I'll ask the same question around the horn. Alan, turning next to you. Any particular runner you're interested in here from either a Bloodlines or form perspective that you're hoping draws in?
Yeah, I'll go with the Bloodlines angle. Thanks for that, Pete. I appreciate that. A horse called Jay Palms debuted at Tokyo over the 2000 in early November and won clear by 3 lengths. It's always good to have the endorsement of Christophe Lemaire on debut. So, he was well fancied. He was 2 to 5 that day, won by 3 lengths. Interestingly, he's out of a Congaree mare called Killer Graces, who happened to produce the winner of this race last year, Killer Ability. So his name is Jay, and that's what I would be most interested in.
I like that. I like that angle. When you can connect year to year. Alex, I've always used that angle that you talked about with the late season 3-year-olds, but I'd never put together to attach the term that I usually think of in terms of like college athletes, the rising 3-year-old. I'll definitely be stealing that in the video that we do a little bit later today about the Malibu and the loaded Santa Anita opening day card, which we'll be covering in full. How about the rising 2-year-olds in the Futurity? Where's your eye drawn from this far out?
Sounds good, Pete. So I think my eye is drawn towards a colt called Phantom Thief. He's by Harbinger out of a Medaglia d'Oro mare, Lupin. The reason why is because the last race he ran in was the Nojigiku Stakes over 2,000 meters on firm turf at Chikyo Racecourse. He got a strong speed figure. I believe one of the highest in the field so far that's drawn in currently. And he finished that race over 2,000 meters in 2 minutes 0.2. So that's very fast. Even grade 1 racing in the US doesn't get 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter that quickly. So great come home time, 33.5 seconds. So really interested in this runner.
That's racehorse time. There's no doubt about it. Toshi, how about you in the Futurity? Who are you hoping draws in? You have any idea of where you might be betting?
Yes, Pete. I would go with Hearts Conchout. He won his debut at Chukyo, very impressively. He won by 1.3 seconds, and he missed jump the second time out in Tokyo Sports High, and that's a grade 2, previously grade 3, and it's upgraded, and it's kind of classic trial, I would call. Unfortunate, he missed jump, and went wide, but he finished well, I'd say. And Ram mentioned that. Actually, Klaus mentioned Gastreek. He was the winner. But yeah, the horse I'm gonna go this time around would be Hearts Conchout. So this could be redemption for him, I'd say.
Klaus, obviously this is our last JRA show of the year, and we'll be taking a little break, but hopefully coming back strong. Give folks a little bit of an overview of what happens in the season and when we might be picking back up.
So the JRA pretty much provides us with 24 grade 1 race dates. So that's what, obviously we want more. We've asked our partners at the JRA for more, but as it stands right now, we're still working through the 2023 contract, as we as Woodbine do host the North American pools for the JRA. So as it stands right now, we're going to be back for the February stakes again, which I think this next year will be, I believe it'll be February the 18th here in North America, February 19th in Japan. So that's our next day. So, certainly brush up, get your handicapping skills sharpened, and we'll be back for the first Grade 1 race in Japan on dirt from Tokyo.
Not too bad. Not too long of a break, really, at all. All right, great stuff. I want to thank the team, Klaus and Alan and Alex and Toshi. Always a pleasure having you on here. Pleasure working with Woodbine / the JRA. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatal. May you win all your photos.